welcome back to another episode of The Tower. In today's episode, I would like to make a mid-game transition guide for EHP build. So basically this is in response to a comment I received in the previous video where I discussed a glass cannon transition, and the comment came from Toby's Tower. So firstly, thank you very much Toby's Tower for the comment. I'll try my best to answer your question shortly. But first, since the week has just ended, let's do a quick progress update. So for tournaments, I actually finished rank 2 in this most recent tournament. It's the highest rank I've gotten so far in Legend, so I'm very happy with that. So 700 gems, 400 stones, 20 keys, awesome. So I believe that brings me to an overall of 820 stones this week and about 57 Q coins this week. I think it's good to see that my overall progress is increasing week by week. So just last week, the weekly coins that I got was 42 Q. This week it's 57 Q, and that's amazing for me. Thank you. So in terms of the lab research, over the past week I had some levels into Swamp, my Poison Swamp. I got a couple of levels into Intro Sprint Mastery. I put some into Cash Bonus. I don't know why I did that, but my Cash Bonus lab is relatively low, so I might as well just get a few levels in. And most of it went into Inner Landmine rotation speed, so it's currently up to level 16. I hope to finish it at some point, but now currently, as you can see, my masteries, I've got quite a few masteries. I'm working on them at the same time, so currently I have 4 masteries. I don't think my economy is strong enough to sustain all 4 at the moment, but I just want to get most of them out of the way, because currently my favorites box is actually quite full, so I don't really want to get any new masteries without first finishing the original ones that I have. And I also need to get this chronofield duration thing out of the way, just so that I can deal with the tournament battle condition a bit better. So other than that, I have some keys to spend. So I'm not very sure where I want to spend them yet, but let's have a look. So I can't buy a new card slot. I don't really need a new card slot at this moment. I don't want this. Nah, that's all. I don't need that as well. I guess I'll just move up the tree then. Okay, and in the next week, I guess I can get this adjustment for the workshop orbs and probably just finish up this tree. So hopefully I can get 25 keys this coming week. So my current tournament performance this week was actually very nice. I got rank 3 and rank 2, but as you can see, it's not very consistent. It really just depends on the bracket that I'm dealing with. In the previous week, my rank was at 7 and 9, so it really just depends on the bracket. So in this particular tournament, I actually went in about 12 hours in, midway through the tournament, and for this one I went in about 4 hours in, so hopefully you guys might find similar luck in those brackets. I'm not sure. Right, now that the progress update is out of the way, we can get into the main content of the video. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a video response to Toby's Tower, who mentioned that he had read about kill or death wall farming on Reddit, and he has seen a guide on it before but can't find it anymore. So he was very interested in finding about a guide. Okay, so my tower is actually a bit too progressed for an Orbless Devo strategy at the moment. So what I did was I went to do a respec, and this is how it's supposed to look like if you do a Devo strategy. So we can get our damage, crit chance, crit factor, damage per meter, and so on up. This is, I guess, towards the later part of the mid game, where you have dabbled with some of the attack stuff, but at the start you don't really need damage, you just kill your enemies with orbs. With regards to the defense side of things, we don't want to touch knockback chance, shockwave size, shockwave frequency, landmine chance, and orbs, because we are going orbless now. For the utility side of things, we don't want to touch free defense, free attack, and free utility upgrades. Generally, we want to keep enemy attack and health level skips around the same level, but because I don't really care about enemy attack anymore at my current stage of progression, I'm just leaving mine at 400. So I think in the past, when I was in the mid game, I got both of them up to 400, obviously focusing on attack level skip first, and then eventually when I started moving into a more hybrid build, then I started pumping more into enemy health level skips. In terms of the cards, these are the cards that I guess we can use. Of course, feel free to play around with whichever you prefer. There's no real need for energy net or something like that, because typically how we'll be killing enemies at the end is to just tank the enemies and get them to die to thorns. So typically how this death wave farming works is we start a run, we turn off all our ultimate weapons except for Black Hole, Golden Tower, Death Wave, and Spotlight. And for the first part of the run, we essentially want every enemy to be tagged by being in our black hole for the coin bonus, hitting the Death Wave kill wall for the added Death Wave bonus, and also benefit from our Golden Tower and possibly Spotlight bonuses. I personally regret doing this strategy early on in the past, just because I had to invest a bit into Death Wave damage to prevent the wall from breaking too quickly. But as we all know, the enemy spawns at the start of each run are typically very low, and they only max out at about wave 4500. Now at my current Death Wave damage, I think at tier 11 I was at 240 times multiplier, so 244 multiplier. It could only take me up to about wave 3000 before my wall started breaking. And at that stage, even though yes, we get quite a bit of coins, the total stone investment took me about 500 to 600 stones in the damage portion. I would very much rather now just ignore that stone investment and then push the stones into something else, like maybe into Golden Tower or something. Just because Death Wave damage falls off very rapidly again after tier 11, and not having the Death Wave damage basically means that you get to skip one step of the mid game altogether. In any case, the main strategy at play over here is this thing called an Orbless Devo strategy, and so you can see, as the name suggests, there are no orbs. And so for the first part of the wave, all we want to do is just kill our enemies as quickly as possible. Now if you don't invest in your Death Wave damage, then that's completely fine. For the first part of the run, you just want to turn on your Spotlight missiles, and what happens then is that all your enemies, they cluster in your black hole, so it benefits from the black hole bonus. You get your Golden Tower proc when Golden Tower activates, and if your Death Wave procs as well, you also get the Death Wave bonus. But otherwise, when your Spotlight goes over the black hole, it's going to just shoot the enemies down. Now at some point during this run, the Death Wave wall ring over here is going to go away. And when that happens, enemies will start hitting your tower, and that is because you currently do not have any attack speed invested. So what that basically means is that you want to have this berserker card ready to charge up your berserker damage, and when you get the berserker damage up, that is when you can start killing the enemies. Now, when your wall eventually breaks, and it will break at some point, I just don't know if it will happen anytime soon, you then turn on your spotlight missiles. Okay, and so the idea is you want to kill your enemies relatively slowly. So the idea of an Orbless Devo strategy is this concept of hoarding, and you want to tag your enemies, as many enemies as possible, with the death wave multiplier before you kill them. So investing into stuff like attack speed is not very good, just because you'll be killing your enemies too quickly. So eventually when your wall breaks, let's assume for now that my death wave wall has already broken, then what will happen is that all these enemies, they are going to cluster in my black hole. And when they cluster in my black hole, then I turn on my spotlight missiles, and when my spotlight goes over my black hole, I start killing the enemies there. At some point, you will notice that your coin per minute is going to drop. If it drops by about 10 to 15%, by then you can start considering turning on your smart missiles. So then you turn on your smart missiles, you kill more enemies, and because your tower range is so short, you can see the missiles that I have, the explosion is actually a pretty big radius, comparatively speaking. So a lot of enemies are going to be hit with the smart missile amplifier lab, and that makes that lab extremely powerful at this stage. So the idea is that once you experience a fall in your coin per minute, just with spotlight missiles alone, then you turn on your smart missiles. Okay, and when your smart missiles start being unable to kill enemies, then you turn on your chain lightning. And the main reason why we want the chain lightning is because of the shock. Okay, so shock amplifies the damage received by the enemy, and that basically means that my smart missiles are going to kill the enemy a lot easier with the shock multiplier on them. We don't actually want to turn on our chain lightning too early on in the run, and that is because chain lightning, even though it deals a lot of damage, it's going to kill a lot of enemies too quickly. And as we recall, the idea of this strategy is to hoard the enemies so that we can get as many of them tagged with our multiverse nexus in order to maximize our coin gains. And so basically that is the idea behind death wall farming. It's a pretty straightforward strategy. Everything from Devo stays the same. From Orbless Devo stays the same. We just don't want, or we just want to kill the enemies a bit quicker with the use of our death wall for the initial part of the run. Personally, the wave spawns at the start of each run are typically very low. This number over here is the spawn rate. I think every run maxes out at 56, but because we are dealing with relatively early on in the waves, we are not going to benefit much from having the death wall. So hopefully that helps. Okay, and so to wrap it up, I think Toby's Tower also asked two other questions. The first is with regards to a glass cannon transition build, is wave accelerator also bad with this build because we lose recharge time? Well, I think the way I think about coin farming is that every player in this game has 24 hours in a day, and we basically want to be as efficient as possible with our time. So if I take off my wave accelerator card and just go into a run, you will see over here that the wave cooldown is 9 seconds and the wave timer is 26 seconds, which means that it's a 35-second wave. Now, if I were to put in the wave accelerator card, then each wave is now 30 seconds, which means that I save 5 seconds per wave. And so over the course of a run, which is like 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 waves, you actually get a lot of time savings. It is true that you will die a bit earlier because your energy shield has less time to recharge, but I think the trade-off is quite worth it because you basically get more runs in a day. And finally, is the wave skip mastery so expensive? Well, Toby's Tower, every card mastery costs the same. They all start off at 1.1 Q for the first lab level, and they go up to 10 Q for the last level. Of course, that is excluding any form of coin reductions that you get, but hopefully that helps give you a gauge of why Golden Tower is so important, or GT Plus is so important, and getting your economy up is so important. Just because it's going to be a situation where you get to a point like where I'm at now, and all of my coin is basically just used in mastery labs. I haven't really touched any enhancements for quite a while, just because I don't have enough coin economy to do so. Right, so I guess that is the content for today's video. Hopefully this helps clarify some of the things that you were reading about on Reddit. There are a ton of guides on Orbless Devo or Devo out there already, so I don't think it would be in the best interest of everyone's time to just make another guide on that. But hopefully this gives you some insight on why or how to go about using the kill wall farming, and whether or not it's worth it, I'll leave it up to you. But from my perspective, I think the stone investment into death wave damage is better spent elsewhere. What we should be focusing on in the mid game is to try to get the quantity up as high as possible, try to get the cooldown to be in a natural sync with our Golden Tower, and work on obtaining all our other ultimate weapons, just so that we can unlock Golden Combo as quickly as possible. Hopefully this helps. Otherwise, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.